Okay, this should now be recording right now. Yep, this is currently recording. Great, so thank you everybody for joining today's Bitcoin Members Meetup episode 2. The agenda for today is that we're gonna have a two-part series. The first part's gonna be on a chat with the co-founders of Paxful, and then we're gonna open this floor up to the public. Quick background about the Bitcoin Association is that we are actually founded all the way back in 2014. And I myself is actually a member. I've recently become the co-president of the Bitcoin Association. We are an NGO. We're comprised of volunteers, and our mission is to inspire digital innovations, to promote promising companies, and to grow the digital assets ecosystem. Over the past few years, if we look at some notable alumni, we can see members such as BitMEX's Arthur Hayes, to a few members such as Ken, Hugh Madden at OSL BC Group. We also have Jihan Chu from Kinetic, to even some of our original OGs such as Larry and also even Leo, who's one of the co-founders of the Bitcoin Association and Meetup. Since our very early days, most of our meetups has all been offline, where we've hosted education seminars, we've hosted more meetups, whether it's casual meetups to members meetup. And we've also hosted grand openings, such as the one at Genesis Block, to even larger offline meetups, such as Spot Conference, which is comprised of hundreds of people from all over the world. We've had Bitstamp, we've had CoinGecko, even some of the members from Paxful was also in attendance as well. Some of the ways that we self-sustain ourselves as a nonprofit NGO is whether it's through offline merchandise to even membership fees. But what we've done over the last few years is we've been building our reputation as a gateway and as a knowledge center, as a trusted platform for overseas companies to try and learn about what the Asia Pacific angle of Bitcoin is. So Paxful, for example, when they were looking for a trusted source, they came over to Hong Kong and they had a seminar about Bitcoin, and they introduced themselves to Asia. So given that the coronavirus situation has been impacting a lot of our offline events, us being a self-sustainable member-driven meetup, we've actually had to move most of our meetups online. So we're experimenting with online meetups such as this one. This is our second online members meetup. And we're actually very lucky to have this hosted in places in Hong Kong at locations such as here at Genesis Block. You guys are probably wondering who Genesis Block is, why is it important? For me, when I started my Bitcoin journey back in 2017, I knew nothing about Bitcoin other than that the price was rising. And this place where we are actually right now is a place where I learned about Bitcoin. I managed to connect with other peoples, to just educate and to learn from each other. So we're actually at the Genesis Block venue over here. They're also going to have a big party for the Bitcoin halving next Tuesday. You can always sign up on Meetup and just come. There's food, there's drinks available. And I'm going to pass this over to John, who's actually at Genesis Block, and he can give a brief introduction.
Hi, I'm John. I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at Genesis Block. We helped Brian publish cryptocurrency Dawn of the New World Era. And we're a premier OTC trading company, and we also provide the technology for the largest ATM operator in Asia. So if you're ever interested in Bitcoin or want to have a discussion, come on down to our office and check it out. And definitely check out cryptocurrency Dawn of the New Era. You can buy it at our shop here, or you can find it online.
Great, thank you, John, for the introduction of Genesis Block. And now I'm actually going to introduce a company that we're actually very fortunate to have the co-founders here. Their names are Ray and also Arthur. Maybe Arthur and Ray, you guys can introduce yourselves and then also tell us more about Paxful and all the things that you do there.
Sure. Hey, Brian, thanks for inviting us here. We're super glad that we can still do this meetup, even if it's online. I know it's strange times, but hey, it's going to be over soon. So everybody just be patient. So I'm Arthur, and Ray is also there on the call. As you see his awesome avatar image, it's really him, his cartoon version. So we both co-founders of Paxful. We started that in 2015. Our goal was to help the little guy, and we were just looking what our users are doing with Bitcoin and all these financial assets they can exchange with each other. So now we know what is Paxful. Paxful is people-powered marketplace for money transfers with anyone, anywhere, at any time. So that means if I have a money in a bank account in US, I can turn that into Bitcoin. And then somebody wants Bitcoin in Japan, right? And I have a bank account there. I sell that Bitcoin to the bank account in Japan. And this way I can do the financial transfer much faster, much easier, and unimaginable ways that was not possible before with the conventional, financial networks. Like one good example, like maybe we don't know it, like, we live in the Western world and we take these financial services for granted, but in Africa, to send money from one country to the neighbor country, like from Nigeria to Ghana, it takes 3 days. You have to do an actual wire transfer to do that payment. And what? It's like $35 to send it, 3 business days. That's crazy. It's a neighbor country. So instead, what you can do, you buy Bitcoin with your Nigerian local bank account, and then that Bitcoin you sell in Ghana, for example, for Zipper Cash or online wallet there or a bank account there, and you do that literally within 5 minutes and at much cheaper rate. So that's what we're enabling for people, and the applications are limitless. We're just getting started. We have our 2-year plan, 5-year plan, right? I'll leave that for later during this talk. I guess that's enough, Brian.
Thanks for sharing that introduction of more of what Paxful is. I think a big theme that's going on right now is we see the unemployment rate skyrocketing in the US, and everyone's talking about an economic depression. We see that the theme of today is that we're also hoping to inspire some of the members here that's dialing in globally. Is there something that, in addition to talking about Paxful, can you tell us more about the journey of the origins of how did you even come up with this idea? If you see that there's a 3-day transaction time and it costs $35, what's your background and Ray's background, and even coming up with this idea generation, building your team, testing, validating it to actually build this business that is a global brand?
That's a great question. Artur, can I take this one, bro? All right, so it is a great question.
Yeah.
It's the question that I think every entrepreneur has. Like, how did you build this thing? How did you know what it was going to be? Did you know what it was going to be? When was that magical moment? Like, how did you iterate on this? Like, where did this come from? And every entrepreneur wants to know these things. I, as an entrepreneur, I've failed 11 times. I've had 14 startups. Paxful is my victory as an entrepreneur after 11 failures in a row, and it taught me a lot. First things first, you got to have the right team, guys. It's all about the team, and I'm blessed to know Artur Schaback. He's one of the most amazing people I've ever met. He's like a brother to me, and in financial services, trust is number one. So I'm not going to get into the Paxful story right now, but I will say this. Everything that we have learned from our users, particularly our Western African users, all our African users, but I have to give a special shout out to our Nigerian users, who are the king and queens of hustle, some of the best business people ever. And whenever I mention Nigeria, I always have to say the Nigerian people are not scammers. Some of the most honest, hardworking people you can ever meet. They are in a very corrupt country there is a scamming industry over there, just like there is in Russia and America, etc. And the people are besieged by that. So the Nigerian people are the ones that get scammed. They're not the ones that do scam. They're biggest victims of that. And they've taught us a lot. They taught us a lot about what business actually is and what Bitcoin is actually good for. And this is the biggest takeaway I think anyone can get from listening to either me or Artur. we know what Bitcoin is good for, not because we're super smart and we figured it out, but because we listen to our users. Our number one value in this company, there's three, and they're very strong because we do them, is to stay connected to the streets. You have to understand what the man and the woman on the street truly need, truly want. You have to put yourself in their position, see it through their eyes, talk to them. And that's things like companies don't do, certainly banks don't do. And even us crypto guys, we should have been doing that from day one. But there are all these super smart eggheads in the scene that don't think they have to do that. Well, here's some news for you. You have to do that. Crypto is all about product. Product is everything. We're trying to help real human beings. And I'm so proud to say that Paxful is not some abstract tool or thing that helps other machines. It's something that real human beings use every single day. 1/3 of our user base is active, almost 4 million now. And 1/3 of them is active within 2 weeks. You know, if Paxful go even hiccups for like a minute, I get, you know, bombarded on my Twitter. People are accusing me of trying to exit scam or something. People use the service so much. They need it so much. It's so important. And now more than ever, with what's happening with COVID, you're going to see the whole world go peer-to-peer even more. So a bit of a long-winded answer, but it's our users. They taught us what Bitcoin is actually good for. And Artur can tell you what the 7 use cases are of Bitcoin that we figured out from actually like watching what they do, because we gave them an open-ended tool, a people-powered marketplace for money transfers, and using Bitcoin as just a clearing layer, right? And they found all kinds of things you can do with it. Artur already gave you some examples. If you read Match Arlong's excellent article, why Paxful is the most important Bitcoin company you've never heard of, he gives exact examples of people, for example, Nigerians, using Paxful, using Bitcoin in a way to solve real problems. Nigerians would ask a friend or a family member in California to buy them a gift card, take a picture of the receipt and the card, send it to them. And then those guys in Nigeria would take that gift card, sell it for Bitcoin on Paxful to someone in China, right? Now they have Bitcoin, and then they take that Bitcoin and sell it to someone in Nigeria, and they will just transfer money from their Nigerian bank account locally to that guy's Nigerian bank account. So
Ray, so I'm going to interrupt you there because I'm not sure about the level of understanding that our audience might have, because it might be coming from a more westernized world. Like for myself, when I first heard about Paxful, I'm thinking, in Hong Kong, it's so easy to just take out my debit card, to take out my credit card, to take out my bank wire and just send money. But for the typical user who maybe is in the States, I mean, I hear that you got an American accent. I hear that Paxful does have a presence in the United States. Can you help us maybe take a step back to frame the context of, if you've got 1/3 of your users that are very active and you've got 4 million people and a big part of your base is coming from Nigeria, can you maybe frame a little bit of the context of before you're talking about China and Nigeria and how this all transaction has, what's the problem? What's the pain point? You've identified it, but that story of not only building this business from scratch, but then the context of who are the actual users that have this pain point?
It's a great question. Okay, to answer this question properly, I have to take you back 4 years ago. Don't worry, it'll be quick, right? So 4 years ago, Paxful, me and Artur, we went to Africa, and we spent some time there. We talked to people, and our first things are, whenever we land anywhere, we want to know, number one, what are people's problems? What are their problems with money here, right? Number two, what are like the dominant payment networks that exist that they're already using? And number three, who are the players that have developed in these white markets of financial services? So problems in Nigeria, here's some examples. In Nigeria, even if you've got, you know, tons of money in the bank, some banks will give you a debit card, a Visa or MasterCard bank card, that'll be limited to $100 a month online that you can spend total. Imagine all the plastic in your wallet being limited to $100 a month. You can't even buy an Xbox. Some banks have raised that to $1,000, but it's still incredibly limiting. There's many other limitations as well. For example, in Nigeria, if you're a merchant and you buy stuff from China, which is quite frequently the case, since Africa doesn't make anywhere near as much stuff as China, right? Most of the stuff sold are brought over from China and Asia. If you're a merchant in Ghana or Kenya or Nigeria especially, and you want to send money outside of the country to a Chinese bank, it is nearly impossible to turn Naira into RMB. usually what people will do is that merchant will say, okay, is there anyone, first thing, Naria is almost totally useless. They have to get USD. So they'll go to the black market and buy US dollars with their Naria, sometimes in cash, sometimes, their banks allow them to have a USD balance, but it's very hard to get. So anyway, they'll do that conversion. That's one hop. Right? Then once they have the USD, they might have to do another hop. They might have to find a relative or a friend of a friend in America that they can somehow get that money to. And then that person, that's another hop, that person is going to try to wire the money to China. But usually what happens is they have to go through Hong Kong first and then China. Add another hop. This is the real monthly business case for these African merchants. And people wonder, why isn't Africa further along? Imagine if you had to go through this every single time you wanted to just buy some inventory. And that's just the start. Like Artur was saying earlier, for example, Africa is super advanced when it comes to banking services, meaning most Africans, most Kenyans don't have a bank account. They have an M-Pesa account though. Every single one of them has an M-Pesa account, which is an online wallet on a smartphone, and you can just send money. And it works great. So M-Pesa works seamlessly and instantly in Kenya. However, M-Pesa also exists in other African countries, but the problem is you can't send money from an M-Pesa account in Kenya to an M-Pesa account in Ghana. So in that way, they're balkanized. I didn't see that coming. When I heard that, I was like, what? Yes, that's the honest reality. Just for anyone to send money from one African country to the other with the banking system is impossible, but it's also segregated and balkanized on even the online wallet system as well. So what are Africans to do? They come to Paxful, they see, wait a minute, I can turn anything into Bitcoin, and then I can turn that Bitcoin into anything, anywhere else. Their minds immediately make the connection. There's some brilliant entrepreneurs there. There's people there that on Paxful now that have built their own version of Western Union on Paxful, and they focus on a specific corridor, like from South Africa to Nigeria, let's say. And that's another example. This one guy I met in South Africa, he started his own version of Western Union on Paxful. He found Nigerian workers who were living in South Africa. These guys didn't have a bank account. They just had cash they got paid with every month. He told them, hey, deposit that cash as Rand in my South African bank account. Then the guy goes and he sells that Rand for Bitcoin on Paxful. And then he'll take that Bitcoin and sell it to some guys he knows in Nigeria and say, hey, send the money to this guy's mother. This is her bank account number. And it all happens the same day. He charges him half the price of Western Union does. His mother doesn't have to go wait online for 2 days at some grungy office. And he makes a good profit as well. It's a win-win for everyone. And that is the power of peer-to-peer finance. It is people helping other people with all manner of their money problems. And I could give examples forever.
Yeah, Ray, thank you for giving that context to help us better understand what another part of this world is experiencing. I mean, we read that almost 1 billion people in this world is unbankable, which means that they don't have a bank account. They're still putting money underneath their bed and their mattresses, which means that they're cut off from being able to apply for a basic loan, whether it's go to school, to get housing, to maybe even invest into a business. And what I'm hearing right now about Paxful, it's almost like a peer-to-peer exchange where you're cutting out the inefficiencies and being able to really help individuals to transact if they want to buy or sell things. Is that a good summary of an understanding of Paxful?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's exactly what it is. It's a people-powered money place for money transfers where people don't have to ask for permission. If they see a path to a conversion they need, they can do it. Imagine it's like a universal, Paxful peer-to-peer finance turns Bitcoin into a universal translator for money. A universal translator for money. Bitcoin doesn't have to be the money itself. It can be literally the clearing layer that turns any form of money into any other form of money anywhere in the world. Paxful supports over 300 payment methods and it's growing. So what does humanity need more than a universal translator of money right now, especially with all the money circulating around in so many different forms, not just currencies, but all these other online wallets, game credits, everything. This is what humanity has needed for the past 100 years.
You know, that description of a universal transfer of money is actually such a simple way to describe your business. And I want to move on to the next slide, because in this slide, I actually took a few screenshots of not only what your platform on web app looks like, but also on mobile. Can you tell us a little bit more about, now that we've established the pain of what you're trying to solve, just more about the translator of money. For example, you mentioned that it's not just Bitcoins to renminbi, but all these other options that you can trade on Paxful as a universal translator of money.
Artur?
Yeah, sure. Look, this is the thing that's possible with Bitcoin. Once you figure out what you can do, and you can do on Paxful on a peer-to-peer marketplace, you'll be blown away. And that's what we're trying to explain to people of all these possibilities. Like, you have money in your Hong Kong bank account, faster payment system, and you get Bitcoin with that. And now you have to find another party, like you want to send it to China. So you sell it for Alipay in China, and you save money. And that's the beauty, right? But right now in Paxful, you have to go that through the trade. You have to talk with your trade partner. But what we're working on putting this on rails where this trade is automated. Like, you don't have to talk to your trade partner. You just input your bank account, then input your Alipay in China, and that's it. You wait, like, I don't know, 3 minutes, because we match the two parties together, the seller and the buyer of the Bitcoin. So
Thanks for
does
sharing
that answer you?
Yeah, that does answer
Yeah.
my question. And whilst we're on the topic of, Paxful and this being a universal translator of money, I recently read another platform like localbitcoins.com, and you guys are doing a comparison between the two platforms. And I understand that there are so many different platforms out there, and there's big name brands like Western Union that people trust already. What makes Paxful unique? Like, what's your secret sauce to entice people and to have 1/3 of your users continuously use you guys and be active on it?
That's a good question, right? Like, obviously everybody needs to have some unique selling point, and what we have. The first of all, local Bitcoins is our competitor number one. Maybe now it's already number two, because Binance is moving with their peer-to-peer thing. But when we started in 2015, we actually were using ourselves local Bitcoins as users of their platform, and then we figured out, like, wait a minute, we can make it much simpler user experience. It's just a bunch of standard template that local Bitcoins was made by geeks in Finland, and you had to make like 8 clicks to get to Bitcoins. So we made this to 4 or 5 clicks to get Bitcoin, and we made it a lot clearer for the simple people, right? So our idea is that if my grandmother, or like grandmother in Africa or Venezuela, Latin America, can use it, can actually buy a Bitcoin, is able to figure this out, then everybody else will figure this out. So, and that's how we have this mode called FR mode, full retard mode. Sorry if I offend anybody. It means that you imagine your
That's the beefy name. Full retro.
Full retro mode. Yeah, this means you go to this website as a first time. You don't understand anything, like what is Bitcoin, and you just imagine yourself as this person who doesn't get anything, right? Like, okay, I see that website every day, right? And I get everything, like all these terms, but you have to pay attention, like okay, simple words, right? Super simple. You can't use things like trade or I don't know, transaction, things like that, because not many people understand what it says. So super laconic words. You don't give them many options to choose from, because if you make people think, oh, should I do A, B, or C? They get stuck. They like, whatever, and they close it down. So you give them just one option to reach on every page to reach their goal. As you see, we have here this big blue CTA button, what they need to click. They click it there, they go further. So that's what we're trying. We don't try to build it for only the technical, like tech savvy people, or geeks, whatever. We want to make it for the mainstream.
So the
that's our goal.
So the user interface, you're trying to make it as easy to use as possible. But given that we're moving into a cyber world, cybersecurity vulnerability, hackers, and all these really crazy technical people are trying to break into really big platforms and steal Bitcoins. I know cybersecurity is something that you guys have been trying to emphasize on. Can you summarize high level wise, that's in a non-technical way, what are you guys doing to ensure the security resiliency of your platform so a new user can say, I can trust Paxful more?
That's a really good question. We have to take it to look at that from the two angles, right? The first is the security of the platform, like Paxful as a platform should not be hacked, right? Like the hackers shouldn't steal the coins of Paxful, like in general, or like do the attacks and take down the website. The DDoS is like you've heard about that. But then there's a second part is the users, their own coins, right? Even if we make super secure platform, they can still fall into scams like like phishing email scams, like, hey, click here, and it goes to the fake website where you enter your Paxful credentials and your coins will be sent out. So that's what we have to deal. That's what our priority number one. And that's the reason why there's a two-factor authentications, things like that. But again, what kind of user base we have, it's for them, this is something new. We have to explain them, we have to teach them. So it's the education I think it's the core of that. Like, hey, you have to secure your account because
So
your coins might get stolen.
So without getting too technical, you're saying that there's basically two elements. There's the platform element where you're designing this Paxful platform to be as secure as possible. But on the other second element, it's about the user. You're thinking about not only the ease of use, but also how to set up two-factor authentication, and you're trying to train individuals on how they can minimize any potential security vulnerabilities. Would you say that's a good summary?
That's a good summary, yes. And they have to understand why they need to secure it, right? Sometimes they learn it the hard way and then they enable 2FA.
So if somebody is not technical and they really want to dig in more into the cybersecurity resiliency that you have, is there maybe a link that you can share afterwards just to reassure our audience that you guys are doing ABCD to increase the security resiliency?
That's a good question. We have our FAQ page, the help section, like how can I secure my account, right?
Yeah.
And then is Paxful secure? Please continue.
I'm sure that FAQ is going to be very lengthy, and in the interest of time and also the audience, without getting technical, I'm sure that we can socialize that later. But on the topic of security and what Ray was mentioning earlier on about the team is the most important, and also in that type of country in West Africa, you mentioned that there is sometimes some bad actors or malicious actors. Forgive my next question, but whilst I was doing a quick Google search, I was doing a research on, for example, Artur and Ray. If we can separate my next question into two parts, one of them is about Ray and Artur, and the second one is about Paxful. Are you able to maybe, let's say, explain more about what happened in Miami? So, because there's always controversies that's going on with the co-founders, and when we see that there's a mugshot of, for example, Ray and also Artur, there's controversies available. But I'm sure that if it's only one perspective, which the media always likes to perceive, is there something that you can help clarify with the audience of what happened when someone does a Google search? Why is your face there, and how can you reassure the customers of like the trustworthiness of the two leaders and co-founders of such a prominent platform?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I'll step up to the plate here. So this whole thing that happened in Miami, this happened about 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago up until now. All charges were dropped almost immediately after it happened. That was a situation where we took some innocent pictures for Instagram on a roof with everything that was purchased legally. We legally bought a rifle which we were going to train with the next day by the ex-Dade County SWAT leader. He was actually we're going to go to a shooting range where he was going to teach us how to actually shoot. However, what happened was we got a visit from Dade County Police because someone took some pictures of us posing on the roof with the guns on Instagram and made a huge uproar, and the media started going crazy, and then the police had to react. They came in there, they saw everything was legit, legal. They found some weed and hash, which was legally purchased in the state of Colorado, by the way, in Boulder. And then, they let us go, and they had to do something. There was immense media pressure, and what can I say? We met with the head Dade County prosecutor, and we told him about Paxful. He loved it. He apologized, and we made a stupid mistake. We shouldn't have taken pictures on the roof there. So it was a dumb mistake. But everyone conducted themselves very professionally, and stuff happens. What can I say? Me and Artur are real guys. I'm not Brian Armstrong. Artur is not. So Warren Buffett. We're actually pretty innocent, sweet guys. But this is the job for cowboys. The mission that we're undertaking is a real mission, and we're real people. We believe in ourselves. We believe in humanity. We believe in God. We're good guys. We don't have any criminal records. I like to smoke weed. It's true.
Thanks for clarifying that part, and I'm glad that all the charges was obviously dismissed and discharged. So by the sounds of it, it sounds like it was more of a misunderstanding, and it was just an unfortunate event that took place. And I'm going to move on to the second part of this topic, which is also about trust. Dealing with people's money and being a conduit of money often attracts illicit activities as well. Again, apologies, but I'm doing like a simple Google search and I'm like, wow, Paxful's a scam, or this is a scam. And there's a lot of this negative news and controversies, but for first time people hearing about Paxful and an audience here that might be doing a Google search right now, can you help us understand more about why Paxful is not a scam, and also more about some of the ways that there could be a misunderstanding that there's only one side of the perspective. Can Paxful share the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a byproduct of a challenge, and the challenge is to bank humanity. So when you open up banking services to every human being on the planet, and by banking services, I mean the banking services of Paxful are basically access to every financial network on the planet, whether it's PayPal, Alipay, cash in Cambodia, a bank account in Montenegro, whatever it might be. We give everyone in the world access to that. So there's a lot of challenges, and the biggest challenge, the biggest value add that any such platform can offer is to protect people against fraud. So this is a challenge that conventional exchanges do not have. Like Binance doesn't have this problem because you just deal with crypto to crypto, right? Crypto goes in and you can't fool the math, right? You can't sweet talk the numbers, right? But with our business, because it's always crypto to some form of fiat, there is room, right? Because any form of fiat with enough political will is reversible, but Bitcoin is not. So what you've done is you've opened, hey, we're telling everyone, you can get financial services here. You can make money. You can exploit arbitrage opportunities. You can start your own business. All the billions of good people around the world hear that. When the scammers also hear, right? And they're all coming to the platform. So we had to deal with a situation where we were in the highest fraud rate markets in the world, and we had to actually react quickly to fighting fraud because we were overwhelmed. I mean, there's a reason why PayPal and Coinbase don't operate in Western Africa, right? They're not in Nigeria. In Coinbase, you can open up an account from there, but you can only use the wallet. You can't use any brokerage services. We said, hey, no, that is not right. We're going to go in there. Those people deserve help most of all. So we had to keep everything open. So what we had to do last year, we had to completely revamp our support team. We had to rename the organization, do a 180. We had to become extremely proficient at fighting immense amounts of fraud. And we got very, very good at it. 99.5% of all trades on Paxful happened with absolutely no incident, perfectly safe, fast and expedient, awesome. But that half of 1%, considering we do six figures in trades, a number of trades and transactions a day, it's going into millions soon with the busiest escrow service in the world. Those guys make a lot of noise, especially since we've started busting them. And there's another piece of press that we need to get out of the way as well, because if you will do a search on Paxful in Nigeria, you will see that last year we got this wave of bad press from the Nigerian press saying that, oh, Paxful was, locked billions in funds and was stealing people's accounts. And what happened was we actually brought down one of the biggest, were not the whole scam ring, but Scarlet Widow. It's an actual report. You can type it up online. It was researched by the FBI, several other third parties. It's a huge scam ring that was operating out of Nigeria, romance scams and whatnot. We found them. We have an awesome compliance team of 17 people, I think now, mostly in New York. And these guys are relentless. us. We're a perfectly compliant organization. We're trying to bring, that's another story, but we do have an awesome compliance team. They found these guys, they found what they were doing, and they came down and busted them all hard. Locked all their funds. We even got a subpoena about it. I'm not sure if I can name it right now, or if it's when they issue these subpoenas, they say you can't name it. So last year we couldn't mention that because I don't know if we're still allowed to mention that in regards to this, but we're not naming anyone specific, so it should be fine. But this was the issue, right? So then we busted these guys. They came at us. These guys are professional scam rings. They have money. They have a lot of money. They control a lot of press. They're one of the few people in the country that have money, right? And they came at us. They wanted us to unleash all their funds, but no, we locked their funds, and that's all being handled by the authorities that served us the subpoena in America, right? And we're going to continue to bust these guys. This is not the last of this. You know, these scammers made so much noise. They came at us personally. They made all these. It's just disgusting. But that's the price you have to pay to actually make a difference in Africa. And I'll say this again. Anyone out there that thinks they're going to make a difference in Africa and they're not getting this kind of like crap, they're not doing anything. Because the corruption problem is so big that if you don't face it head on and make a real difference, and you're going to get slacked, you're going to get hit. And if you're not, then you're not doing anything there. And that's the price you have to pay. I got my name and my wife's name personally dragged to the mud by these literally like Nigerian professional scam rings on Twitter, on Instagram. One of these guys even scammed my wife on Instagram, truth. So I don't want to get into all of that, but there are immense challenges here. Being in the trenches in Africa and these markets is not easy. It's not for everyone. We said we're going to do it. We're going to go to the places where we can make the most impact. Why? Because that's what Bitcoin was created to do. And that's who we are. I wish I could say it maybe sweeter or smoother, but true.
Well, first off,
That's a good valid point. Hey, I'll just add, yeah, Ray said really good valid points that, hey, it's a constant fighting because one, Bitcoin is irreversible. And since we are peer-to-peer, people want to scam others, right? And somebody new who wants to sell Bitcoin, he doesn't know that when he sells that for PayPal, that PayPal can be charged back, but you can take back Bitcoin, right? And that goes back to the education. As Ray said, 99.5% of all our trades are successful, but this 0.5%, it's not all scam. It's just maybe there's some confusion and so on, but the loudest noise make the ones who got hurt, right? You don't hear the good and awesome stories online. Like, for example, we wanted to do the hashtag Paxful saved my life, right? We have a lot of this awesome stories that hardly ever somebody hears, but you know, the scam accusations, that's the problem, like with every peer-to-peer marketplace. So that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah, you'll see the same kind of stuff on local Bitcoins' Twitter feed, people whose accounts they put on holiday screaming, oh, you robbed me. But meanwhile, the guy tried to sell the same gift card code 27 times in a row. And this is the kind of stuff we have to deal with. Just look at my Twitter timeline, my mentions, and you're going to see these guys. It's just a part of the business.
Ray, first off, I want to say that I'm sorry to hear about your wife getting scammed. And it seems like what you guys are doing is creating a lot of impact, but it's also creating a big target on Paxful's platform. I know that because you guys are a big target, it's attracting scammers and you guys are being called fraudulent. But for somebody that's just new to Paxful, that's never heard of you guys before, and I'm sure that there's so many different ways that people can get scammed. What are maybe one or two of the top ways that people are accusing Paxful of being scammed? And is there a response from Paxful on what one of the top two potential scams are?
Absolutely. It's very simple. 99% of any fraud or scams happen in gift cards. Gift cards. This is the problem. Like, people think it's Nigeria. No, it's not Nigeria. It's not Paxful. It's gift cards. The gift card business is very hard to track. Why? Because the gift card companies have put a data embargo on the world, meaning the gift card companies do not share their ledger with you. Like, Bitcoin is a public ledger. We all know how much money an address has. You can't do that with gift cards because the gift card companies keep that information hidden, which causes tremendous pain.
Ray, sorry, I'm going to have to interrupt you. You jumped into gift cards, but I think I'm missing a little bit of context. I know that Paxful is a universal translator of money, but then where does gift cards come in, and what's the connection here?
Gift cards, we have 5 major payment method groups: gift cards, bank transfers, cash, online wallets, and credit debit. And we're adding, goods and assets, services, etc. The gift cards of all of them is one of the highest fraud rate. 99% of all the fraud happens just with the gift card trades. Why? For the data embargo that the gift card providers have put on the world, right? So I'll give you a dynamic of exactly what's happening. If you check my Twitter timeline, you can see all this happening. And by the way, me and Artur are not the type of guys to try to change the topic on something we don't like. We go right into it. So I'm going to give you guys all the detail, because Paxful is all about transparency. That's the only way we're going to really win this war to bring the emerging world up. This is the only way. We have to go through this swamp, and that's fine. We'll do it together. That's our business. That's how we add value, right? The typical gift card trade right now, where most of the fraud happens in peer-to-peer actually. And the reason we haven't, like, local Bitcoin's canceled, they stopped dealing with gift cards completely, right? Because there was so much fraud, they couldn't handle it. We had to face the same decision as well. And me and Artur really had to sit down together in a smoky room and say, okay, what are we going to do about this, man? This is giving our compliance and support like 10x the work. We're buried. We had to 5x the size of our support team last year. We had to, it's just an immense burden. It really wasn't worth the trouble. But the truth is, the emerging world gets their Bitcoin through gift cards. We pioneered that payment method. And if we cut that out now, we will be cutting out so many people. We'll be cutting out, stopping the businesses of so many people that have built their lives on this platform on gift cards and made it work. And we'll be cutting out all the new markets like Malawi, Venezuela. They're all coming into us now with gift cards. If we cut that out, what are we going to say to them? So we can't cut out gift cards. We have to fight this. So let's talk about gift cards. What makes it so deadly? So I talked about the data embargo from the gift card companies. This is a big thing. This is the main thing. If we didn't have that, they were free and public with their codes, their ledger, everything would be cool. No, so here's a typical trade. Let's say a West African tries to sell a gift card to a Chinese vendor, right? Someone who's selling them Bitcoin. So the guy in China has the Bitcoin. He wants the half price gift card, right? From the Nigerian dude, let's say.
Wait, sorry. What do you mean by half price gift card?
People can put different margins on the gift card. Someone can say, hey, if you give me $100 Amazon gift card, I'll give you back $90 worth of Bitcoin. Another guy can say, $100 gift card, I'll give you back $50 worth of Bitcoin. And it's an open market, so people can take it for whatever they choose, right? So let's just say.
So would you say, maybe as an example, somebody received a gift card because it's their birthday, but they can't really use that gift card. So maybe they say, I'll just give it for 80% and I'll 20% discounts and I get $80 today and I can get Bitcoins in this and it's easier transition. Would that be like an example of a gift card that's discounted?
Yes, that would be. Another example is my friend had like, I don't know, $5,000 or $10,000. He bought $10,000 of Hyatt hotel gift cards for like 95% off as they were going to expire 2 days later. So we had a huge party in the Hyatt hotel. There's a lot of examples, right? But let's go through the actual step-by-step of this trade, and then we're going to see what the pain points are. And this is something that's very specific to product, right? So me and Artur are major product guys. That's what drives us here at Paxful. So we're product fanatics. So I'm going to give you guys an insight into that journey right now. Give me 2 minutes. Guy in Nigeria has a gift card. He starts a trade with a guy in China to sell the Amazon gift card, let's say, or iTunes gift card for $100, let's say, right? Yeah, and he gets back $50 in Bitcoin. He says, hey, what's up? Here's the gift card code. Chinese guy looks at it. He's like, oh, it's not good. And then the Chinese guy starts to dispute. I shouldn't use names. I should say the seller of the Bitcoin and like the buyer of the Bitcoin, right? The guy with the gift card and the guy with the Bitcoin. The guy with the Bitcoin starts to dispute, say, this card is not good. When we look at the guy with the gift card, we see he's done 10,000 trades on Paxful with so many different people. The guy with the gift card, he might be from Africa, let's say, he's only done maybe like 4 or 5 trades, right? So who are we going to trust in this case? We don't know if the gift card is good. I've written a huge article about this called The Gift Card Dilemma on Medium. And I've explained by every little point why the process doesn't work. But basically it puts our moderators into a situation where they either have to choose that, to penalize the market maker and take the word of the guy with the gift card, or vice versa. And what happens is a lot of the times the guy with the gift card, we can't take his word for it because he has far less trades than the other guy, and the other guy has done so much more business on our platform, may have a better reputation. And a lot of the times, honestly, guys with gift cards, like the guys buying gift cards and giving Bitcoin, they'll go through 5 bad cards just to get 1 good card, because there's a lot of fraud. Like people will try to sell the same gift card twice, 3 times, 4 times, etc. Right? So we have to take the side of the vendor. But that sometimes one of these people with a gift card might get, we call it being ripped. You know, they might actually have had a good code and that guy might have decided just to be a dick. How do we know? There's no logical way to know. We've explored everything. We reached out to the gift card companies. We tried those ancillary systems. We tried everything. I outlined it all in my article there. But now recently, because we noticed, hey, this might be, you know, we have to improve ourselves here, we started a program. We called it Ogun's Rage. Ogun's Rage. Ogun is a Nigerian deity that people from Nigeria often say, Ogun will tear you down. Ogun will smite you. But so I like Ogun. I researched him. He's pretty cool. So Ogun's Rage to reflect the rage of someone who, you know, bought a gift card. It's good. And they got ripped. That's not right. We'd have to help them. So we employed a specialized task force on Paxful just to focus on this ripping. We even deployed sting operations, you know, secret shopper programs to catch these guys that were serially ripping these poor Africans, right? So we have a situation now where we start, you know, coming to the defense of the Africans, and then the Chinese are saying, oh, Paxful scammed me. Why'd they shut down my account? I didn't do anything. And then the Nigerian, you know, we're caught in the middle of all of this because marketplaces are about balance. We created this trade route, this corridor between Western Africa and China with crypto 4 years ago. And it's proven to be one of the greatest things in crypto ever. It's one of the least known things, but Matt, in his article, he actually touched upon it. But this is what opened up Western Africa, and now all of Africa to crypto, is this corridor with China. So it's a beautiful thing. We have to fight to preserve against bad actors on both sides. But we're doing it, and we're taking all the heat for it, guys. So this is I'm shooting out the flare at everyone out there. If you see Paxful under attack by these people, come to our defense. We are the good guys, man. We truly are. We're trying to make the difference. We listen to the people. We're struggling to keep up with this armed race, and we are getting ahead of it. We're winning this war. But come to our defense, because I'll tell you, there's a lot of good guys in crypto, but out of all of them, me and this bald blonde dude down there, Artur Schaback, we have the biggest hearts, man. That's all I'm saying.
It sounds like you guys are in a very difficult position because you're caught in the middle, and it's hard to also verify if there's a merchant who's got 10,000 trades versus somebody else who's new to this that doesn't have any trades, and you don't know how to verify. Gift cards might not have a trustworthy background because they don't have a public blockchain that everyone can view like Bitcoin does. But if we were to take the perspective of, let's say, someone from China or from Hong Kong, where the Bitcoin Association Hong Kong is based, let's say someone locally wanted to get involved with this gift card. I've got 7-Eleven every 50 meters that I can just walk down and just buy a ton of gift cards. And if all of a sudden I use your platform, I'm new to you, and this is a legit card from 7-Eleven, and all of a sudden somebody else says it doesn't work, it's scammed, what do we do? How do we minimize that risk and that money that we have put through our own pocket?
It's a challenge, right? So what are we doing? I mentioned a few things. This task force is one. You know, this secret shopper and sting program, we're building out an AI right now. So this is a call out. Paxful is looking for the best data people that want to build true data products. We have an immense amount of data, and we're looking to use that to keep people safe, not to spy on people, but to protect people. Because I'll tell you, our 2-year plan is 3 points, right? Product is the third point. Super responsive support is the second point. And the first point, number one, is a safe marketplace. 0.5% is far too much, but this is the greatest battle in all of finance right now, because it's about more than just fraud. It touches things far deeper, like KYC, for example. And this is something we can do a whole show on. Everyone ran away from KYC, and we said, no, we can't run. We have to do it early. Why? Because KYC is broken. It's a broken process throughout the entire industry. KYC companies that specialize, you know, like Jumio and Fido, they work great for America and in Europe, but for the rest of the world, they don't work at all. Like, and this is the case. There's no one-stop solution. We have to conquer the KYC hurdle to make our marketplace safer, and nothing exists, so we have to build it.
Absolutely. I think I'm conscious that I'm also going a little bit over time, so I might speed through the rest of some of my questions. But I think we can all agree that there's risk. there's risk in everything that we do. When we purchase, let's say, a piece of shoe or clothing from Zara's websites or from whichever e-commerce platform, or even if we were to, let's say, use eBay or even Amazon, some of these bigger shops, we might be experiencing less than stellar performances. And even if you're using Paxful, we should all just be mindful that everything there's going to be risk, but at least it's reassuring to hear that you're trying to take measures to try and be as balanced as possible. Now that I'm going to try and rush through this a little bit more, we established that you guys are trying to create an impact. We've addressed how there were some controversies with the two founders and also some issues with Paxful as a brand and reputation. Let's try and move something to a little bit more positive, because I apologize for spending so much time trying to address Google searches, but there's a lot of work that you guys are doing as well. Also doing a quick Google search, there's pictures of you with a bunch of kids in Africa. And I did another Google search and I'm like, hey, I see Arthur, I see you and the Paxful logo. What can you tell me more about Paxful's initiatives and what you guys are doing here?
It's called Built with Bitcoin, and it's an idea me and Artur had at the very beginning. I built my first, or rebuilt my first school right after Hurricane Katrina. I went there right after the city opened up. I met these 5 nuns and I helped them reopen the New Orleans Cathedral Academy. It was a hell of an adventure. Spent 3 weeks gathering supplies, with truckers and coming there. And we finally got together a bunch of Christians from Alabama and we rebuilt the first school in the city, and it helped the city open up. And it taught me the power of education and the difference you could make. That day when all the kids could come back, the police and fire department were there, the city was alive again because of one school. It felt really good, and it's something that stuck with me for a long while. So I told this crazy plan to Artur 3 years ago, and everyone thought I was insane. Like, you're going to build 100 schools in Africa with company money for what? The only one that believed in it was Artur, and he's like, all right, man, let's do it. Like, 100 schools, all right. So we're on school number 3 right now. You're looking at schools 1 and 2 in Rwanda. We built the first 2 schools in Bugesera district. We chose that area because it was the area where the genocide first started in Rwanda 20 years ago, and it's healed tremendously. And we chose Rwanda because it's an amazing place. It's the heart of Africa. It's super safe. It's clean. It's awesome. The people are so friendly. The leader is great. It's very stable. And we said, hey, this would be the heart of Africa. Let the first school be here. And we even built a well, clinic, sports field, bought the kids uniforms, got them health insurance. You probably won't see that on the evening news, and we don't advertise much about it ourselves, but it's something that we believe we must do right now as a core pillar of our mission. Artur and I both agreed, hey, we're not going to wait until we're billionaires and we've made it, whatever that means, before we start giving back by making a few donations here or there. That's not us. That's weak. We can do a lot better. So we made giving back the core pillar of our company, one of our core pillars. It's actually the 7th use case of Bitcoin, in our opinion, which is social justice, social good.
It's really admirable that you guys are giving back to the community. I just hope that you guys don't build schools too quickly, and that you guys are trying to focus on sustainability, and that everything that you guys are building, even though there's 100 schools that you're building, you're only on school number 3. The reason why it's only maybe 1 a year so far, because we're in 2020 now, is because you're focused on quality, that you're focused on, it's not about hitting that 100. It's about ensuring that each one of these schools is stable, it's self-sufficient, and that the first generation that graduates from here is actually contributing more into the community. They've been blessed, and now they're trying to help the future generations.
Exactly right. It's not about the numbers. We just upgraded the first 2 schools with a clinic and a sports field. We're getting equipment to the clinic. It has solar panels now. We're maintaining them every year. We're paying the teachers' salaries. So this is a constant, ongoing project. We see this as civilization building. And Artur can tell you more about it. I think this cold, blue-eyed dude even cried.
You cried.
So listen, that's awesome thing that we came up.
Is that why you're wearing sunglasses? Is you shedding a tear?
No, this was really like emotional moment. Seeing all these kids, they will get education, and we build wells for them. They're gonna save 6 hours a day of their time because they don't have to go to like far away. Like like 10 miles to get water, fresh drinking water from a bigger village. So 6 hours lost. Now they got it back. They're gonna get educated, right? But besides that, I would say that, yeah, this is a school number 3, but we're just getting started and people notice us. We launched the website builtwithbitcoin.org, and we partner with the nonprofit organization Zamzam Water, as you see there on the slides. So we have a Bitcoin address where anybody can send a donation, and they just received 10 Bitcoins like a week ago, like randomly from somebody. And we can build 2 schools with that. So anybody can go to builtwithbitcoin.org and donate their money. And that just happened. And, the Zamzam Water guy, Youssef, he was so excited. He called up Ray like, hey, is this true? Is this how Bitcoin works? That's like was showing that people care and people see what we do, because we do that from our hearts. If we take others, for example, they copy us, like Revolut, right? In Revolut is the banking gap. You can donate your own money, like, hey, please, you can donate to this charities of your choice, but it's not Revolut who is donating. It's the users of the Revoluts are donating, but we are donating ourselves as a company. So that's a big difference.
Thank you for your contributions. And I'm conscious that I'm going way over time. So some of the other slides that I prepared, for example, the KYC, which can be a huge other topic by itself, I'm going to leave that out. But if I can maybe leave one last slide, it's more about on 2020 and beyond. We know that the Bitcoin halving is coming around. If this can be my final question before I pass it over to the public, can you share more about your thoughts for the Bitcoin halving and what the plans for Paxful are?
Artur, you can talk about the halving. I can talk about our future plans.
Yeah. Look, we all care about the Bitcoin price, right? For us, it's fun, it's games, it's trading, and what's going to happen. When you take a look at the Bitcoin's time frame, like 2 years, the price doesn't matter, because any point of time you take 2 years, like begin the start and end of the 2 years, every time the price was higher, and that's a rule. So in 2 years, the price is going to be higher than now. The price is going to be higher than 20K. That's what it is. If you care about the short-term speculation trading, watch the market for like selling the news and buying the rumors, right? And the halving will blow up the price high, like it happened with after every halving. It's not right away, but a month after, that's what the history has shown us. So get ready for another wild ride. It's going to be even higher than in 2017, even wilder.
Thank you, Artur.
Yeah. So for Paxful for 2020, we are actually, we think in terms of 2-year plans at the shortest, and we're nursing something right now that's a 5 to 20-year plan. And it's focused on Africa. 4 years ago when we went to Africa, everyone said, we're crazy. This is never going to become anything with Bitcoin. People making $2 a day ain't ever going to buy no Bitcoin. This is what I heard. People laughed in our face. And we said, no, the problems that exist here, and the brilliance and entrepreneurship of the young people, the African people just want to move forward. Those 2 things combined, plus the fact that they're all mobilely enabled right now and onto alternative online wallets, those things combined, this is going to be the nexus. This is going to be the first crypto continent. That's what we said 4 years ago. And now it's finally happening, right? We haven't forgotten Africa. Africa has taught us everything we know. And Africans are going to pave the way forward, especially Nigeria, which we consider to be the lion of Africa. So we're calling this plan Pax Africana, and it's 5 points, and it's a big plan, man. This is a 20-year plan. I don't think any other company is even thinking on this level, because honestly, the United Nations isn't even thinking on this level. This is what the United Nations should have done for the world, that they refused to do. They should have been the first ones to come out and say, hey, we're going to give humanity a global financial passport so people all have financial services. They're not, we're going to do it. 5 points. Number 1, we must connect all the African countries together. And we're on the way of doing that right now. With this peer-to-peer, people-powered marketplace, universal translator for money, we are effectively there. The more we streamline those processes, we'll get closer to 100%, and that's huge. Number two is water. We have built 2 sustainable Zamzam wells already, one in Rwanda, another one coming up in Kenya. And the first one in Rwanda, we proved it to make it sustainable. It actually pays for itself in 2 years, and it doesn't just provide water for the school, it provides water for the 450, almost 500,000 people in Bugesera district right now. These people are coming there and they're buying gherkins of water for 1 penny, and that's enough just to make the whole thing sustainable. So we can actually have these Zamzam wells across every single district in Africa, adding tremendous bonuses to the GDP of Africa. That's what we're going to do. The schools is the third point, and you know about that already. We're on number 3, 97 more to go. So with financial services, water, and education, you already provided the trifecta of civilization, of what people need to move up. Right. The fourth thing is these incubators. Me and Artur met at the Bitcoin Center in New York, run by a good friend of ours. And that same friend is going to help us build the first Bitcoin Center in Africa. And we want to build it throughout every major city in Africa should have a Bitcoin Center as a place where people can go to learn in a trusted environment, where they can be incubated, where entrepreneurs can build, just like me and Artur built and met at the first Bitcoin Center. That's coming soon, God willing. So we've already started on the first 3. The 4th is coming. And number 5 is the big one. We call it PAX Citizen. We're going to give smartphones with data and all kinds of services to the peoples of Africa. That's a huge plan. That's a 20-year plan. But that is what we're thinking. That is the level that we're operating on. We're not perfect, but we're working so hard every day. We're thinking big, and we have a sky's the limit mentality. We truly do. We've been blessed. And this is the official flare out to everyone that's listening. If you want, if you're good, if you want to build, if you want to be a part of this, if you want to be operating on a level playing field of a Pax Africana with a team that has the biggest hearts, come join us. We are always hiring, and we need you to make this happen.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Arthur, for such a inspirational vision that you're sharing and trying to have a positive impact. What would be the best way to contact you guys or even to join your team?
So many avenues. Send me a Telegram message, write me an email, Artur@Paxful. My inbox has 0 unread messages, so I never miss anything. And then we're gonna connect you to our hiring manager, and we're gonna talk to you. We're gonna lay down our vision, our ideas, what we want to accomplish, what we have now. We've been doing that with Ray for actually past few months, super successfully. Like we are doing with Ray actual hiring now, like being the first one. We invite people, we talk to them, like what's our plans with the product, what we're doing, and it works really well. People get super excited. So please contact us.
Thank you so much, guys. I apologize for going over time, and I also apologize to the audience as well. Before we open this to the public, I also just want to make sure that everyone is aware that this is being recorded. And I also hope that everyone can be mindful and thoughtful that because this is a recorded session, that please be more thoughtful with your questions. Arthur and Ray have both been very generous in their time and dedication in explaining what Paxful is and their journey. Please be mindful, this is recorded, and this will be eventually shared on the social media. So again, please be mindful. So I'm going to pass this over to the public. If anybody has any questions, if you're muted, just write in the chat box and we can always read this out loud. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Sam. I'm a member in Bitcoin Association of Hong Kong, and here is a good show. And I'm happy to see Paxful and do a lot of work in Africa. And I was a user in Paxful. I want to ask, can I redeem the gift card before release the Bitcoin to the seller?
Yeah, you should redeem the gift card before you release the Bitcoin to the seller. You have to make sure it's good. So absolutely, you should take the gift card, immediately try to redeem it. If it works, you know it's good, release the coins. You should never release payment, release the escrow until you have absolutely confirmed payment. Yes, that's like rule number one.
So why there are lots of scam around the gift card?
I can link you to the, if you type in Google, you type the gift card dilemma, Paxful, the gift card dilemma. It's on the Medium. You can read like all the points about that, but basically people are not as honest as you are, Sam. They would take the gift card code, redeem it, and say they didn't. And because we can't confirm if the code is good or not because of the data embargo and several other reasons, we can't make an accurate ruling in that case.
Oh, I see.
Hi, sorry, is that Sam? You done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Great, thanks. Hey, Ryan, this is Devin. Thanks very much, guys. Ryan, the quick question. You said that because of Corona, you think that we think we're going to be moving more towards P2P. I was wondering why that was. And a follow-up question, what are the risks of regulation in the space? Because I know the centralized exchanges are, coming under more and more scrutiny. And I think there is an edge for P2P, but I don't know, what's your thinking?
Yeah, we're entering the golden age right now of crypto and peer-to-peer. I know the world is changing right now. People are seeing that the things, that structures they thought they could trust, they can't. They need to have a plan B, and that's peer-to-peer. So we're going to see the whole world go more and more peer-to-peer. Peer-to-peer finance, Paxful, is here because of three miracles, right? The first miracle happened 11 years ago when humanity got peer-to-peer electronic cash by Satoshi Nakamoto, right? The second miracle is this amazing network of people, like people on this call, that have grown up around Bitcoin, who educate, evangelize about it, most importantly, use it in their day-to-day. And the third miracle is really the whole concept of the sharing economy that started with Craigslist, Uber, Airbnb, and now finally we have peer-to-peer finance. We've taken it to money. So absolutely, we're going to see peer-to-peer grow and blossom in huge ways, and crypto will lead the way in this. I know that completely. I feel it. It's happening every day. We have all been vindicated by what's happening right now, and I don't think we understand just how far this is all going to go and how fast. So yeah, let's watch peer-to-peer. It is absolutely the place to be in crypto. Peer-to-peer is what is going to vindicate the true original mission of Bitcoin. It's going to happen in peer-to-peer. It's not going to happen with whales slinging and manipulating on exchanges. That's in the past already. So let's keep it looking forward. It's an awesome question.
But you think it's going to happen in peer-to-peer because centralized exchanges are going to get regulated? I mean, is that what you're thinking?
No, not because of regulation. I mean, regulation is we're being regulated now. We're self-regulating now. We're being compliant as a peer-to-peer exchange. Paxful is leading the way there because we want to service the whole world, right? It's not going to be because of regulation. It's going to be because peer-to-peer is connected to the street.
Okay.
Peer-to-peer is actually serving the people. Peer-to-peer is where the people will turn first, not centralized exchanges. That's for something different. That's for people that have they can afford to lose another.
So I want to start by wishing them Ramadan Kareem.
Ramadan Kareem. Very hard to hear you, Kiputo.
This is a month for worship.
Sorry, Kiputo, we actually can't hear you. Are you able to type your question out? Well, whilst we wait for Kiputo, I see that AJ has also asked another question, and it's, do you guys use any chain analysis tools like BlockSci?
That's a good question. We have a great compliance team. And again, we talked about regulation. We are self-regulating. We are applying for the state licenses in US. We are already federally licensed. And we have to do this work, right? We have to be compliant and show that we are looking into the patterns, what our users are doing. And part of our tool set is indeed blockchain analytics as well. So in order to be compliant and really fight the scammers and fraudsters, we are using whatever is on our, our arsenal. So this is the norm, and especially, the FAT rule is coming out in June. The travel rule, we're talking about that all the time, and that means if somebody doesn't know what the travel rule, if you send more than $1,000 in Bitcoin, you have to know who is the receiving person. Imagine that right now you're just sending to some random Bitcoin address, but this travel rule requires to know an actual individual behind that address, the receiving address. Like how can you put blockchain on top of legacy financial banking system and apply this? And since this is the recommendation of this FATF organization, the companies and all the crypto companies are thinking of solutions, and they came up with the solutions like this kind of information will be shared and so on. So we will comply with that like any other exchange, and the deadline is in June. But luckily, our users are sending on average like $50 out, like $100. So for this kind of users, we do this is not applied. But when you're sending more than $1,000 out, basically you got to know to who you're sending to, like who is the person behind, and the infrastructure will be built on top of that.
Thank you. We actually have a question from Yvonne. Yvonne, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Yvonne. I'm from Kenya. I wanted to direct my question to Ray and his focus on Africa. First of all, thank you for choosing Africa. But I wanted to know why exactly you chose the region, and what challenges have you experienced so far? Because we know in Africa there are a lot of issues with leaders and institutions. How has the journey been so far as you venture into Africa? Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Such a sweet voice you have too. Well, the truth is, I really like African people. I'm African myself. I was born to two African parents. I was in Egypt. I was born there. I came to America when I was 2 years old. So, I am African. There's a lot about me that is African, even though I grew up in New York. And I always wanted to, I've been to Africa many times, but, it was only 4 years ago that I went there, and I really started to take a real interest in knowing what the problems the people actually were. And I saw the problems were huge. We couldn't even imagine living in a world with the financial restrictions that Africans have in the West. It's too much. And then what really endeared me to the African people was, I'll call it the natural resources of Africa. And the greatest natural resource of Africa is not in the ground, it's in the heads of the young people there. And I met so many brilliant young entrepreneurs. It was just madness. Like, whoa, like there's an army, like you meet one, there'd be 10 more just like him. And you're like, what the hell is going on? How can these people not be all billionaires right now? I have a crazy dream. I believe Africa can be the wealthiest continent in the world again, like it used to be. It's an insane dream. No one, only a few people in Paxful truly believe. One of them is Artur Schaback on this call right now. There's a lot of challenges, particularly with the corruption, meaning, Africa's filled with all these young cheetahs, right? That want to just move forward. And that's the beautiful thing. The African people just want to move forward. They're tired of the old way. Everything's staying stuck. And you got these fat old, aristocrats, they've been called hippos. And these hippos don't want to change things because all their money is in a French bank account. And when I found out that the French actually control the African franc, it's about as federal as the Federal Reserve is federal. The French control 14 countries in Africa through the use of their money system. It's outright financial slavery. And when I discovered that, I was like, these people have these limitations, plus they're in this debt-ridden situation, and none of their leaders are going to help them. This is the situation that Bitcoin was created for. When I put that together, I was like, we have to do this. We have to be with these people. We have to listen to these people. And the more I listened to the African people, the more successful we became, because they guided us here. Everything that we built is because of the amazing feedback of the African people, Yvonne. Wish I had a better answer for you, but from the heart, that's why I love Africa. That's why I love the African people. We would not be here without the peoples of Africa. And I think the peoples of Africa are going to give us the whole scene, the whole Bitcoin scene, the biggest lesson imaginable soon.
Wow, okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have a question from Kiptu. What are the new features that Paxful are coming up with going forward?
That's a good question as well. We have a lot of ideas and we have a lot of amazing people in our team, but look, we have this many of ideas, but this much of how much we can build, right? Like available resources. So, there are 6 use cases of Bitcoin. Well, there's 7 with the social good that Ray mentioned. First is the gray markets, like any new technology starts. Second is the speculation and trading, which are the exchanges. This is 95% of all the Bitcoin and crypto traffic right now. And then there are 4 other use cases. First one, wealth preservation. In emerging countries, like where the currency, the government currency is getting hit, inflated, people want to have a stable USD account, stable account. So we're going to be supporting stable coins. That's what's upcoming, because there's been a huge demand by our vendors, by our users in emerging countries like Venezuela, Argentina, Brazil. They want just a stable USD account. They don't really care actually about Bitcoin. They just want stable coin that they can freely send to their parents, to their friends, for the commerce, to pay for goods. So that's one. Second one is payments. When you want to do some imports, right? You want to import some stuff from China and you're in Africa, you can't use your bank account to send the bigger amounts. You can use Bitcoin. So we have Paxful Wallet for that. Third one is remittance. That when you do the cross-border payments to send money to friends and family, you can do that with Bitcoin. But right now, you have to do the trade chat on Paxful. You have to talk with your partner. It takes time. We are simplifying this process. So we are eliminating the need for the chat. For example, M-Pesa, like good example is our friend from Germany. His girlfriend is from Kenya. And in order to send money to Kenya, they have to send through Western Union. His mother has to stand in the line in Western Union, like physically for like 5 hours to pick up this money. And they will lose like 10, 15%. Instead, he can find somebody in Paxful who buys Bitcoin for M-Pesa. And he tells to that person like, hey, send this M-Pesa to my girlfriend's mother's M-Pesa account, right? While he is in Germany. And instead of losing 15% and having to stand in Western Union line for a few hours, he actually doesn't lose anything because it's a market price. So even he wins 1-2%, because in Kenya, people are willing to pay more for Bitcoin than the market price, because Bitcoin is there in demand. So that's the third product that we're building. And the fourth, last but not least, is the commerce. Like, hey, you want to accept Bitcoin? Use Pay with Paxful. Or you want to pay with 300 ways, like 300 different payment methods? You can use Pay with Paxful, where Bitcoin for the consumer, whoever is shopping in online, he doesn't need to know about Bitcoin. It's only the e-commerce owner is accepting Bitcoin. But me, if I want to buy an iPad, I'm in Vietnam. It's really hard for me to use a credit card there to buy, like in the Western e-commerce store, because of the fraud and the chargebacks and all that. But we enable this emerging countries to start shopping globally in any e-commerce store, because we make it for the e-commerce owner, the payment irreversible, that you cannot reverse it because he receives Bitcoin in that. So that's what we've been building on the background for already years, and it's really close. It's going to be revolutionary, and we're super, super excited that we're going to get it out like next quarter.
Thank you, guys.
And related to about the new coins, right? We're thinking like, hey, Bitcoin, we just have Bitcoin now, but supporting other coins just for the sake of supporting, right? For the speculation, this is not our plan. This is not what we want to achieve as Paxful and our vision. But if the coin has a utility, like stable coin, USDT, Tether, it has a utility, we're going to start supporting it. If a coin like Ethereum has a utility, like, hey, you can participate in ICOs, we're going to support it. Like, even though, okay, the ICOs can be scammy and stuff, but the regulations are getting there, so there will be more quality ICOs. we'll support that coin. If there's some utility of the coin, we will be supporting that. So stay tuned for that.
Thank you, guys. I think we have time for maybe 2 more questions. One of them seems to be from Dima from BC Vault.
Hey guys, I'll just switch my video on. Hey, some of you in Hong Kong know me. Yeah, I see a few familiar faces. My question is very basic. Have you ever considered extending your ecosystem or your architecture to a cold wallet?
What do you mean by that? Not sure. Like our like the users' funds to cold wallet, because we are moving towards the platform where other people can build on top of us their financial applications, and the security of the funds is like #1 priority for us.
Yeah, understood. So, I mean, most people have basically, well, at least, you know, some exchange or a hot wallet. My effort wallet is a basic service or something like this. There is exchange wallet, and there are some hardware wallets and cold wallets. So have you ever considered extending your service line up to a security of a cold wallet, where you have a user has a dead switch control over the funds once they are transferred out?
Okay. Maybe you can tell more about you, like what's a BC Vault, so I'll get the context.
Yeah, it's a cold wallet.
Nice. So again, we have a lot of ideas, and we have this much available resources, what we accomplish, right? And we listen to our users, what they want the most. Most of our users are simple people who don't even know what is the Bitcoin address, and telling them about the cold storage and all that. And when they don't even know how to set up the 2FA, we would gladly like to do this. And in the future, we will be able to kind of, you know, offer them that in a simple way, explain like, hey, you can lock your funds for like longer period of time, like, you know, your bank savings account. If we rephrase it this way, and how it's now a savings account, that's something we can do, of course. But as long as, you know, our end user understands, we can do that easily.
In general, you know, when this topic comes up, we tell people that, hey, you should only keep coins on Paxful or any other exchange that you are using for trading. You should not use Paxful for cold storage. You should not use any web wallet for cold storage. You should set up your own cold storage to be completely in control of your own keys. But like Artur was saying, a lot of our users are newbies. They're not technical people. They just they go there to transact business, right? And that's why they come to us.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. I think if there's any final questions, if not, then we're going to wrap this up. Going once, going twice. All right, well, thank you again, everybody, and especially to the 2 co-founders, Ray and also Youssef. Ray, Youssef, and also Artur, for your time and your dedication. You've done some really impactful work. You are dreaming big. You've got a big vision. You know there's about 30 people here that if they need anything, they can always go and reach out to you. If you guys are interested to learn more about what's in the pipeline, we actually have the next interviews with Coin Bros, Genesis Block, and also potentially with Hex Trust. Coin Bros, you guys might have heard about them. These guys have a song with John McAfee. We're curious about what are these guys' stories, how do they have this groove, their sound, and what inspires them. So if there's anything else that you guys are interested in about Bitcoin Association, about Ray, about Artur, about Paxful, reach out. Artur mentioned he's got 0 inboxes and he's going to read every single email. So you got his email. Artur, it's artur@paxful.com, right?
Exactly. Let me type in the chat. Second. Yeah, if you want to join Paxful, if you see that you can, you have something that you can add value into Paxful, and you like what we do and the products and how we want to help the people around the world, please send us your resume or just a welcome text. We'll get back to you.
Great. Thank you so much, guys, and everybody who's in attendance. We're going to try and end this at 9 o'clock on the dot. Stay tuned and keep up the great work, Paxful. We're going to be following you on Twitter, the two founders as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Stay strong, Hong Kong.
You too, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Stay strong, stay safe. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Cheers.
Bye.